Well, first of all, I'd like to say Nugambi before I introduce myself. Nugambi means hello in the Dharawal language. My name is Shayne Williams. I come from La Perouse, fishing and living on the saltwater river systems is a very big part of our family and our history and our lifestyles. I am a direct descendant of the Dharawal people on both my mum and dad's side of the family as well. So it's something that I'm quite proud of, Water, whether it's salt water or fresh water, is absolutely vital to Aboriginal people, particularly our people who live in the remote parts of the country. They depend highly on water supplies. For coastal Aboriginal people, such as myself, now our spirit ancestors created our waterways. Therefore, they imbued those waterways with spirit. So we have a spiritual relationship, whether that be river systems or the saltwater waterways. Waterways are also places where we have ceremonies. In a lot of our cultures, particularly our inland cultures, ceremony had to be carried out continuously. Otherwise the spirit ancestors who created them in the first place would leave and those waterways would dry up. Water has always been a highly valuable resource for us. We live in a continent that has dry periods such as droughts. Being able to preserve water and sustain our water supplies has always been imperative for us. The salt water for the Dharawal people and the Guigal clan is in our blood. When we see any kind of contamination or destruction to the waterways, it does have a profound psychological impact on us, to the point where it could lead to depression. So our relationship with the waterways is not mythological. It's not something that we conjure up or make up. It's real. Our waterways and our cultures and our philosophies are all extrapolated together. You cannot separate one from the other. And that's why the health of our waterways can have a very positive, healthy impact on our psychologies, or it can have a negative impact as well. You see, in the Dharawal culture, not only are the Dharawal people the custodians of the land and the waterways, but other life forms are also the custodians of those environments, you see. I think there's a real future in cleaning the waterways up, to make them a lot more pristine than they used to be, and not so contaminated. And I think by rejuvenating the waterways and bringing it back to health again, will have a profound impact not just on the other life forms that live in that waterway, but the humans that live around those waterways as well. So if we look after the land and we look after our waterways and keep them healthy, then we're keeping ourselves healthy. And I think that's something we should be taking into the future, because our relationships with those waterways is inseparable. And I'm sure a lot of non-Aboriginal people have developed strong relationships with those waterways as well. So we all need to work together to ensure that our waterways are rejuvenated. Do our best to make sure that contamination doesn't get to the levels that they are at the moment or have been in the past. So it's up to all of us now to work together, to think together and to act together to ensure that our waterways are rejuvenated in places like Sydney, and that they're protected from future contamination, and that it's preserved effectively going forward into the future. Our biggest concern at the moment with our saltwater is the global warming of the planet. We're concerned that a lot of fish species will suffer, and in the end that we will experience sufferance from that. Our next generations depend on us to do the right thing by our waterways, and I'm sure when it's their turn to look after our waterways, the generation that follows them will be dependent on. Science is very effective in finding practical solutions to reversing the contamination of our waterways. But Aboriginal people, we have the philosophies that can help the broader public become more aware. It's up to Aboriginal people and their philosophies to work with science so we can create a third knowledge system that can be applied to the preservation and the protection of our waterways. So science and Aboriginal knowledge can work tremendously together. And I would like to see a lot more work done in that area going forward into the future. We, like I've been saying, have a spiritual relationship with our waterways, and we would like those values to be passed on to the next generation of young Australian people, because water is the Earth's most valuable resource. You can't drink gold, you can't drink diamonds, you can't drink oil, but our bodies depend entirely on the Earth's water supplies. And it's up to the next generation to be able to sustain the effort that we're putting in now to ensure that our waterways are preserved going forward into the future. It's important for them to learn about Aboriginal people's spiritual relationships with the waterways, because we want them to value water more differently than they do now. Water education is imperative for our future, because it's the only major strategy I can think of that will educate the next generation of young people and generations after them as well. I'd like kids to grow up, and if they see a tap dripping, they go and turn it off. If they can't turn it off, go and get someone to help them, Like really appreciate every drop and value it, and realise that every drop is valuable, and vital to life.